We have reached the point of no return. The point where we get to decide not to return back to normal. We get to decide not to return back to a normal where democracy is dead, corporations and billionaires buy elections, and the people have lost hope in their government. A normal where what was initially created as a simple form of currency to standardize trade, money, has become little more than a tool of oppression, a tool to support and feed greed and selfishness, a tool of corruption. I spent a long time being angry at capitalism. Then I realized it's not necessarily capitalism that's at fault, but the distortion of capitalism, corporate welfare, and the gross hoarding of wealth. It's consumerism. It's materialism. Those are the things we should be angry at. We have to stop rewarding selfishness and greed. We have to stop idolizing a disconnected standard of success. We have to stop celebrating institutions that contribute to the destruction of our health. It is not okay for certain individuals to have amassed so much wealth and so much power when there are still human beings in the world that struggle to have their basic necessities met. We have the resources and the capability to serve all of humanity. Individual wealth should not equate to power over nations, and right now it does. It just doesn't make sense anymore. The old normal tells us that we're not important unless we have money. The old normal tells us that our main priority in life is to be financially successful. The old normal rewards those that sacrifice their health and their family for the pursuit of worthless pieces of paper. Never forget that we created this game and we can change the rules. It is true that our modern-day version of capitalism got us to where we are. It is true that we live in the safest world that's ever existed, the healthiest world that's ever existed. It is true that we are the most comfortable that we've ever been. But at what cost to our human nature? At what cost to the planet? We don't need iPhones to survive. We need clean water, clean air, and clean food. We don't need Lucky Charms. We've just been conditioned to want them. We don't need an Xbox. We need better, more holistic education. It's time to start really focusing on what we need and not what we want. Imagine a world in which the video games we play taught us how to be better communicators instead of how to shoot a gun. Imagine a world in which the technology that we mass consumed helped feed the hungry and clothe the naked. And I'm not talking about a corporation donating a few million to a nonprofit in Africa. I'm talking about real, tangible, direct action. Imagine a world where human beings live symbiotically with our ecosystems instead of mindlessly raping and pillaging them for profit. All of these things are just as possible as our current reality. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have Call of Duty. What I'm saying is that we need to significantly rebalance our values and our priorities. So how do we actually make these massive systemic changes? The simple answer is that we don't actually know yet. The important thing is that we're committed to figuring it out. Probably the two most important first steps are to learn to love yourself and prioritize your health over money. Those two things are quite possibly the most radical things you can do in this moment. This includes committing to a practice of self-expression. The suppression of our thoughts and emotions is only making a difficult situation worse. Practically speaking, the first step is to quit your shitty job. Get out of it. If you hate your job, just leave. You have to commit to figuring out how to make it work, doing things that you are passionate about. If that means that you gotta move somewhere cheaper to afford your rent, then do it. If that means that you gotta get rid of your fancy car and buy a cheap one, then do it. Those things don't matter anymore. Commit to figuring out how to make that work. You owe it to yourself. Step 2, find your voice and use it. What are your values? Do you live by them? What do you believe and why do you believe it? When the answers come, tell the world and stand fearlessly in your convictions. Step 3, support and collaborate with other people who share your values. Embrace community, build community, and brainstorm together. What I am offering right now is inspiration, hope, and organization around the central belief that all is not lost, that we can start over, that we can create a system that works for everyone. We can create a system that is sustainable. We can create a system that devalues and deprioritizes money. We can end consumerism. We can end materialism. We can spend more time being human. If we choose not to act now and instead return to normal, we may never get another chance to impact the world in such a collective way. No matter how insurmountable these systemic changes seem to be in this moment, always remember, we created the game and we can change the rules. So here's to the future. Here's to never going back. Here's to the dreamers, the solution creators, the lovers of life. We're here. Are you?